Hey everybody, what's here to you, and welcome back to Let's Play Splatoon 2. In the previous episode, we played a tower control with the James rolls, and in today's episode, we'll be taking a quick tour of Inkopolis Square before we continue on our progress through Octo Canyon. So the first thing you're going to be noticing when you go across Inkopolis Square are Inklings and Octolings everywhere. I really like this feature because seeing all these Inklings and Octolings just hanging out and having a good time really does give you the feeling that Inkopolis is a big hustle and bustle city that's just seems like a really good time to hang out in. But they're not just there to make the world feel less empty. The Inklings and Octolings, the armor that they're wearing, if you can buy them from a store, you can actually check out their outfit and order them through a character that we'll be meeting in a moment. But this is limited to the outfits that you can purchase from the store themselves. So if it's an outfit that you unlock from an amiibo or through story progress, you will not be able to order them, you'll have to earn them yourself. And a returning feature from the original Splatoon are Inkling Drawings. This is something that is really cool because Splatoon arguably had the most amazing Miiverse community back when Miiverse was still a thing, and the fact that they brought it back in some capacity for Splatoon 2 is really incredible to see. You can go into this area and do like a quick little drawing to post onto Twitter or Facebook, and then it'll show up at the plaza. I will warn you though, some of these drawings, it's pretty obvious that they're not quite as monitored as Miiverse used to be, so definitely have the feature on at your own risk. But in recent years, it seems to be much better about being family-friendly and things like that, so it's a pretty interesting feature. The drawings will also have a special feature when Splatfests are active. This is something we'll be talking about a little bit later in the Let's Play when we talk about Splatfests, but whenever a Splatfest is going on, you can have a special drawing themed specifically to the team you're supporting, which is pretty cool. The next feature we'll be talking about is the restaurant in Inkopolis Square. Krusty Scene from the original game has returned with his own brand new shop, and this is something that's pretty cool because if you've earned tickets to his restaurant through story mode or Salmon Run or any other features you'll see on screen, because I don't remember off the top of my head how you get these tickets. If you use these tickets, you can buy food that can make it so that you'll earn more money or more experience in battles, and this is something that is a really cool feature. And something that I absolutely love about this restaurant. Take a look. The Inkling says thank you when they eat the food. It's the most adorable thing ever. Next up, we'll be talking about the Amiibo support for this game. And this is where it gets a little not that great. How the Amiibo support worked in the first game is that if you had the Inkling Girl, Boy, or Squid Amiibo, you can unlock the ability to replay through Octo Valley levels with brand new weapons. And this is an interesting idea, even if the level design didn't exactly was built in mind with these weapons in mind. But the thing is, in Splatoon 2, this is already a built-in feature into the game. If you beat a level in Octo Valley, you can replay with a different weapon right then and there. You don't need Amiibo support. But the Amiibo support in Splatoon 2 isn't that great, because how it works now is the Splatoon 2 Amiibos, you can like take a selfie with them, and you can also save your gear and camera options. And this is a pretty cool feature if you're going over to a friend's house. You can take your Amiibo with you, keep your armor and camera options, and not have to worry about changing anything on your own. And the selfie feature is pretty cool and all. You can get some really adorable pictures with the Squid Sisters, or Marina, Pearl, or the Inkling, or Octolings. And it is a pretty neat feature, but compared to the original game, it's not quite as interesting. I will still play with this feature, but it's just not nearly as interesting as the Amiibo support for the original game. Now, something else I'd like to talk about with the Amiibo real quick is you can actually earn some new outfits with the Amiibos, and this is something that's kind of a hit or miss in my personal opinion. The Squid Sister Amiibos, I believe they'll give you a hero replica armor, and it's kind of interesting, but I have my own problems with this, which we'll be getting into towards the end of Octo Canyon. The Inkling Girl Amiibo, I know off the top of my head, you can get you a schoolgirl outfit, which is what I usually use for my Inkling. The Octoling Girl, I believe, also gives you like a witch outfit, which is also super adorable. But my personal favorite ones are the ones that you get from the Marina and Pearl Amiibos. Because if you have a Marina and Pearl Amiibo, you can actually get the outfits that they will wear in the Octo Expansion DLC. And this is something that is really cool. I've always wanted it so that I can dress up my Inkling as like Callie or Marie or something like that. But this is still a pretty awesome step in that direction. It makes me so happy that I can make my Inkling look like Marina because we all know me. Marina is the best Splatoon waifu. You can also take selfies on the different stages as well. I personally like taking selfies on the Murray Towers stage because Murray Towers is my personal favorite stage in Splatoon. So it's pretty interesting. Your Inkling and Octoling will also have different poses for depending on which weapon they're going to be using as well. So we'll have some examples of that on screen as well for you to check out. And something that I really like about this is the fact that you can check out the back of the Amiibo box without any out of bounds glitches or anything like that. It's such a beautiful sight. And next, we're going to be talking about the Galleria. This is this game's equivalent of Booyah Base. This is where you're going to be buying all your armor, all your weapons, and testing them out, and all that good stuff. So this is pretty interesting because the money that you earn from battles can be used to purchase new armor and weapons in the Galleria. Personally speaking, I never really made it my goal to get every single outfit and every single weapon in the game. I usually just stick with what I personally like and just usually stick with that for the entirety of my time playing the game. And I'm also one of those people that makes it so that if I have like a character customization, then I usually go with what makes the character look interesting rather than what makes me stronger. It's probably not the best thing in the world, but something really cool is that you can actually use your Super Seed Snails to re-roll your abilities. Now we're going to have all the abilities listed on screen somewhere for you to read. And speaking of which, let's talk about the weapons, because it's something that I've been talking about a lot throughout the Let's Play, and let's finally do it. Right from the start, I want to make it clear, we are not going to be doing like an in-depth guide for every single weapon in Splatoon 2, and I have a very good reason for that. This is a game that changes constantly, and if it's anything like the first game, it's going to keep getting updates, however minor, after Splatfests are over, which means that if I make a video saying this weapon does this much damage and has this sub-weapon and is this awesome, but then an update comes along and changes that, there's no way I can update the video, because YouTube is rude and removed all annotations off of YouTube, which means that I can't update the video if something like that happens. So what we're going to be doing instead is, right now, in this video, we're going to be talking about sub-weapons and special weapons. Later down the line, we'll be talking about the different types of weapons and some recommendations that I personally recommend for you people. But now we're going to be talking about the sub-weapons. So you'll be able to read the descriptions of them on the bottom of the part of the screen while we demonstrate how they work on the top part of the screen. And let me just say, this was kind of a nightmare to edit, so you better appreciate it. So, I'm not going to be verbalizing my opinions on all of the sub-weapons. I'm only going to be talking about my personal favorites. So we saw the Burst Bomb a moment ago, and that one is a really great one for Slossers in particular, because it's a really great strategy where you sneak up on somebody, you throw a Burst Bomb in their face, and then one attack of the Slossers should be enough to take them out. That was the case in the first game, but unfortunately in Splatoon 2 they changed it so that my personal favorite Slosher now uses the Suction Bomb instead. Now the Suction Bomb is still a pretty great weapon, but I just personally prefer Burst Bombs. I also really like the Curling Bombs in this game, because they can kind of bounce around the stage we throw them, which can be pretty great for sneaking upon enemies. Like, for example, if you're playing on walleye wares or something like that, then you'll throw a curling bomb around the corners to catch them by surprise. And this one right here, the fizzy bomb, this is another one of my personal favorites. I really want to try to main more weapons that use this because this is just so much fun. How it works is that, depending on how much you shake the controller or mash the attack button when you have the fizzy bomb pulled out, depending on how much you do that, that will make it explode even further, and it's just so much fun to do. And the squid beacons are also really great for things like ranked battles or something like that. Like if you're playing on tower control and you want to get to a certain area quickly, but your team's wiped out, you can have a squid beacon take you closer to the tower to make it so that you can conquer the world or whatever. Splash walls are also a really great sub-weapon if you have a charger or heavy splatling or something like that, especially if you're playing on a stage that has linear corridors, such as Arowana Mall or Port Mackerel or something like that. It's also pretty great on the Muscle Forge Fitness, which we talked about a couple videos ago. And now we're moving on to special weapons. The Tenta Missile is my personal favorite of them. It's pretty much the closest there is to an Ink Strike in this game. But what I really love about Tenta Missiles is not necessarily the attack itself, because the missiles are fairly easy to avoid. But what I love about them is the fact that they reveal where the enemy is located, and this is so useful. It's the big reason why this is my personal favorite special weapon in the game. As for the bomb launchers, this is probably the special weapon that has the most variety out of all of them, because I believe there are 5 versions of them. There's one for each of the different type of sub-weapon bomb thing. I believe there's a burst bomb launcher, there's a section bomb launcher. It's still pretty interesting. I don't main a whole lot of weapons that use a bomb launcher, but this is still a pretty great special weapon if you know what you're doing. And this right here, the curling bomb, this adds to something that I was mentioning a moment ago, where if you're playing on a stage that has like Walleye Warehouse or Port Mackerel, where you can use the curling bombs to sneak around corners, if you have the bomb launcher with the curling bomb, you are pretty much indestructible at that point. But now we're moving on to the Stingray. This is pretty much this game's equivalent of the Killer Whale, and I'm not a fan of it at all. The Stingray is pretty weird in how it controls. Now, it does give you a bit more movement options, don't get me wrong, it's still pretty cool, and it's pretty awesome that you can go through a wall, but it's just not one of my personal favorites. But what is one of my personal favorites is the Inkjet. You can use this to fly around the area, and it's just so much fun flying around and jumping and splashing people. It's just so much fun, and what I really love about that one and the splashdown, especially when you're testing it out like this, because it goes so high in the air, you can see a little bit outside the boundaries of the world, outside of the boundaries of the test area, and it's just really cool. And as I saw a moment ago, the splashdown is really great to use if you're super jumping, because the thing about super jumping is that it's a very risky movement option, because the other team can see where you're going to be jumping to. But if you have splashdown available, then you'll be able to use that to take them by surprise. I don't know what it is about the baller, but it's just so adorable seeing the Inkling running around in it. Now we're talking about the Bubble Blower. This is the one that I kind of wish was a little bit better, but it's still a pretty interesting weapon because you get to throw bubbles at people. What's more awesome than a bubble? The Booyah Bomb is more awesome than a bubble because you get to spam Booyahs to make it better. It's just so much fun. And the Ultra Stamp may very well be my second favorite of the special weapons because you get to smash everybody with a hammer. And something really cool about it that I didn't know until I was recording this video is that you can throw the hammer at the end of the move. And the next thing we'll be talking about is kind of a returning feature from the first game. In the original Splatoon, when you're in the online lobby, you can play some mini-games on the gamepad to kind of pass the time. And these were pretty interesting, but they kind of don't return in this game. What replaces this feature is that when you're in the lobby, you can kind of mash the buttons to have some different musical notes appear in the background, which is pretty interesting. But there is one minigame that does return, and that's Squid Beatz. Squid Beatz is a rhythm minigame where you can play along with the different music in the game, and Splatoon 2 has an amazing soundtrack, so if you're a rhythm gamer, then this is something that you're definitely going to enjoy. I'm not much of a rhythm gamer myself, but I have played around with Squid Beatz from time to time, and it is a pretty fun mode. I usually just stick with the songs that I personally love, that are my personal favorites and things like that. I do have every intention on demonstrating a few songs later down the line. I'm not going to be talking about every single one of them, but as we move on to the next segment, I'm going to have the Squid Beatz playing in the background. The next thing we'll be talking about is something that is not in Splatoon 2 at all. This is the Nintendo Switch Online app. The Nintendo Switch Online app is a bit controversial within the fanbase of Nintendo Switch owners, because this is where the voice chat of the system is locked behind, and a lot of people, myself included, have figured if I'm going to need to use my smartphone to do a voice chat in a video game, I might as well just use Skype or Discord or something like that. But that is just one feature of the Nintendo Switch Online app. As you'll see on screen, you can check out your stats for the different weapons in the game. You can see your history of victories and defeats throughout the past 50 matches of the game. You can set your favorite stage. You can see what stages are going to be available in the stage rotations pretty soon. And this is an amazing feature. This has been so helpful with planning out the Let's Play, because I have every intention on demonstrating every stage on every mode during the series. So this has been really helpful for helping me figure out, okay, I know I've played the stage on this mode before, what about this one? I haven't recorded that footage for that stage yet. Okay, cool, I'll begin recording at this time, and it has been such an amazing feature. You can also check out some really cool features such as lifetime inkage. This basically means that the amount of ink you've covered throughout your history of playing Splatoon would be enough to cover this landmark in the real world. And you'll also be able to unlock wallpapers and things like that. I probably will never be able to get every single one of these, but it's still a pretty nice reward for playing through the game. You can check out your stats for how well you've been playing certain weapons in different modes in the game, which is also very handy. And something else that was added to the app after release is the ability to check out your Salmon Run stats. So you can check out things like how many shifts you've worked, how many golden eggs you've collected, all that good stuff. You can also check out what times Salmon Run will be open, and this is another really handy feature because Salmon Run, for whatever reason, isn't always open, but you can check out the app to see, okay, it's not open now, but it will be open at this time, so later today I can go play Splatoon 2 and play a few rounds of Salmon Run if I want, which is pretty nice. And one last feature is, this is an online game, so your chances are you're probably going to run into somebody who's not that nice. So if somebody like Squid bags you constantly or things like that, then you can report that on the Nintendo Switch Online app. And that's something that's pretty nice, because there weren't any features like that in the original game, and that should really be like a common feature within all online multiplayer games, because there are a bunch of jerks out there, and you don't want to play with those kind of people. And the last thing we'll be talking about in this episode is a really cool Easter egg. If you go to the back of Inkopolis Square and look off in the distance, you can see Inkopolis Tower from the original Splatoon. And with that, we're in this video off here, so thank you all so much for watching this episode of Splatoon 2, and until next time, Lady Gear to you.